You just announced a new nominee for the U.S. Surgeon General who never finished her residency and is not a practicing physician. So can you explain why you picked her to be America's top doctor?
Because Bobby thought she was fantastic. She's she's a brilliant woman who went through Stanford, and as I understand it, she basically wanted to be an academic as opposed to a surgeon. I think she graduated first in her class at Stanford. And Bobby really thought she was great. I don't know her. I listened to the recommendation of Bobby. I met her yesterday and once before. She's a very outstanding person, a great academic, actually. So I think she'll be great.
Again. So, right, America's top doctor nomination, but wait, she's not a doctor? Hello, I'm Dr. Ida Brown.
I'm Dr. Sonia Sloan. I'm Dr. Sonia Sloan.
And we are eh-yah.
Black and brown women disruptors in healthcare and beyond.
So let's talk about the Surgeon General. If confirmed, Casey Means would take on the most important role in terms of public health here in the United States, a position with power to steer public health policy, lead the U.S. Public Health Service, and guide Americans through national crises. This is the person that we look to during moments of medical emergencies, COVID, the opioid epidemic, misinformation. Historically, the Surgeon General is the firewall of facts, the ultimate authority in public health. But let's just talk about Dr. Casey Means. Wellness influencer, Instagram star, tech entrepreneur, and a former surgical resident who never quite completed her training. And hold your breath, her medical license is, are you ready? Inactive. So Dr. Means, who earned her undergrad and MD from Stanford University, once started a residency in otolaryngology, which is ear, nose, and throat surgery. She did not finish it. So instead of staying in clinical practice, she pivoted to what she calls root cause resolution medicine and systems-based approaches to health. In other words, she left surgery for the wellness empire. So she's written a lot about diet, lifestyle, and metabolic health, and she uses her Instagram following to push personalized wellness strategies. But this isn't just a plot line from Grey's Anatomy Wellness Edition, you guys. This is real life, and it's a problem. Dr. Means has the backing of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the man behind MAHA, Make America Healthy Again campaign, a movement so soaked in alternative health nonsense, it could rival Goop for its pseudo-scientific flair. And here's the one thing. She's not getting universal support. The approval for Dr. Means' nomination isn't just facing opposition from one side of the aisle, it's coming from both sides. Take RFK Jr.'s VP running mate, Nicole Shanahan, who recently posted a statement on X questioning Means' qualifications. Yes, it's very strange, doesn't make any sense. I was promised that if I supported RFK Jr. in his Senate confirmation, that neither of these siblings would be working under HHS or in an appointment, and that people much more qualified would be. I don't know if RFK very clearly lied to me or what is going on. It has been clear in recent conversations that he is reporting to someone regularly who is controlling his decisions, and it isn't President Trump. With regard to the siblings, there is something very artificial and aggressive about them, almost like they were bred and raised Manchurian assets. Whew. Mighty mighty. There's so many red flags in that statement, but there's this glaring red flag, which is that Dr. Means co-wrote a book with her brother, Callie Means, who is now working as a special employee in the government, advising on food policy. So this is the same Callie Means who has pushed wellness narratives through venture capital pipelines, and now he's sitting at the policymaking table. Their central claim that one single metabolic dysfunction is behind almost every health problem in America. Depression, infertility, obesity, insomnia, you name it. One metabolic dysfunction. And it's a really catchy headline, sure, but it doesn't exactly scream CDC recommendation. And let's talk about vaccine hesitancy. Dr. Means has repeatedly questioned the safety of vaccines on social media. And in a country that's already grappling with vaccine misinformation and widespread mistrust, this is a deal breaker. And then here's the real kicker. Health and Human Services didn't even bother to release a statement about her, even when pressed on this. And instead, they pointed reporters to an X post by RFK Jr. himself, where he called Dr. Means a, quote, symbol of moral authority, end quote. Moral authority? Really? This is the same person who's been promoting wellness products on Instagram while public health professionals have been battling actual health crises. So who has the real knowledge to keep the United States healthy? Is it someone who spent years promoting wellness fads and distorting science for profit? Or is it the public health experts and scientists who've been on the front lines of the opioid crisis, the COVID pandemic, and fight against misinformation? That's the question we need to all ask ourselves. Who do we trust with America's health? But hold on. Did you see this clip, Dr. Sloan? Roll that tape.
Which is to make our country healthy, to have evidence-based science, to have gold standard replicable science, and then use that to challenge what we have, this kind of bedrock system that is destroying our health, which is a complete misalignment of economic incentives and public health.
Dr. Sloan, what do you think?
This is, well, I guess first of all, if you really want to piss off two surgeons, you put someone in a position of authority and power that has no leverage, that has no true oomph to them and or degree or residency or anything else. So let's start there. But then this week, actually today, this recent collaboration on Fox News with the various branches of the U.S. Health Department of Health and Human Services that included Dr. Oz, and we've already talked about him, Mr. Medicaid, Medicare Director, also the FDA Commissioner Marty Marquet. And we already know about Jay Bhattacharya, the director of NIH, but he doesn't have any money because they pulled all the funding like least recently. And of course, our favorite RFK Jr., your HHS secretary. This is the special report and how they're going to work together. And he even elaborated about how they spent time together and they vacationed together and all this other stuff to make America healthy again. And so this is the agenda that was set forth, but yet something just didn't line up. And so when we go back to Dr. Casey Means, and you guys, I have a stick in my craw about this one. She didn't just drift into this wellness world. She built a whole freaking empire behind it, a business around it. In 2019, she co-founded this company called Levels. Levels was a Silicon Valley darling. It's selling this whole thing about continuous glucose monitors. And I want you guys to remember that because you're going to hear a lot more about that in the next couple of years. CGMs, continuous glucose monitors, but it's not for diabetics. No, this is for people that don't even have diabetes, you guys. And not only that, this is something that you don't have to have a diagnosis. They just want you to not even have a problem with glucose. You just want to strap on this $200 monitor, a sensor, if you will, and pretend like you're biohacking your own immortality. It's a hustle, if I ever heard one. But does it have some background, some merit? Yes. Has it been tested or researched? No. So now, why is that so important? Listen, Silicon Valley loved it because now you have these billionaires investing. In fact, in 2019, $38 million of crowdfunding went into Levels that is owned by who? Casey Means and her brother and a few others that we'll talk about. And here's the other kicker. There was no solid science behind this thing. It's not peer-reviewed evidence. There's no clinical outcomes. It's just a medical device that's out there being sold. And now, guess what? This is a woman who's talking about metabolic moonshot. Now, I get it. They lost their mother to pancreatic cancer, and it probably triggered something in them to research this and want to. But there's no research. There's no data. And now Casey Means, MD, left her surgical residency. Do you know how freaking hard it is to get into a surgical residency, let alone leave one? And now she is the wellness influencer, not a physician. She also had backing her brother, Josh Clement, who's the former SpaceX and the Hyperloop guy, Sam Korkos, the YC grad, as well as Cardash co-founder. And then there's David Flinder and Andrew Connor, both from Google. So these are all metabolic health gurus that came up with this device level. Okay, now are you guys following the dots? Now turn around and say, March 5th last year, FDA approved what? Continuous glucose monitoring device for non-diabetics a year ago, prior to her being appointed to this position. Was it in the works? Perhaps, but nonetheless, money is to be had with any of this. If you're just going to invest in something, invest in this, because it's definitely going to make some money in the near future with this group. So the FDA has now opened the floodgates for this continuous glucose monitoring. Who owns the biggest chunk in this? Your new, soon to be appointed Surgeon General. And that means any other curiosity of these databases that they're trying to look into that goes along with autism and your Fitbit, that looks at glucose monitoring perhaps, and your target consumption of what you're eating. These are things that they're going to have access to. So all of these dots are being connected by big tech, not just big pharma anymore. And they're driven by now influencers that are making healthcare policies and deciding the fate of millions of Americans. So folks, if we're watching the lines between science and startup culture, it is a blur right now in real time. And if we're not careful, this wellness entrepreneur will shape the national's health policy, selling biohack medicine, and now turn Surgeon General into the office of content creation. I promise you. So let's be clear. It's more than just questionable appointments at this point. We're at a seismic shift in defining the expertise of the digital age. And we're on the verge of replacing peer-reviewed science and facts over influence and branding. Data as a diagnosis doesn't matter anymore. Startups is what matters. What's at stake here? Our public trust, our public healthcare, our outcomes, but also credibility of all the institutions that have gone into years, tens of hundreds of decades and hours and manpower, now down the toilet. Just like that, with no prescription, just disaster.
All right, Midas Mighty. So a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but she hasn't been confirmed. So let's keep showing up. Let's keep disrupting. And thank you for watching. We are eh-yah, contributors to the MeidasTouch Network and proud members of the Midas Mighty. Please subscribe, like, share, and follow for more updates.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.